Hello?
I can hear you, Pete.
Okay, thank you.
They're muted in the room, Chairman.
Thank you, Miss Lindsay.
No,
Welcome, Mr. P.
Robin, I think we're muted in the room. Yeah, I just unmuted. Okay.
Glad you're here. There's nothing on this agenda that makes sense on the agenda. Good you're here. Good, Robin.
Yeah, we're good.
Great job.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. A happy Good Friday. It's April 7th, and two commissioners are on Zoom. One is traveling, not able to be here, but we have an agenda review this morning. So, Mr. Manager, would you like to walk us through this agenda today?
All right, thank you, sir. This is for the Wednesday, April 12th agenda. I'll let Steph start off with what she's going to talk about during county business.
Okay, Stephanie Birmingham from Communications. We're going to start with a couple reminders. The April burn ban, since that's still a serious concern. Also, the Veteran Benefit Resource Fair coming up April 15th at Town West. We're also going to talk about the tire collection event that runs April 20th through the 22nd, very popular. And then for our good news items, we're going to have two short videos highlighting the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week and National Animal Control Week, both of which are April 9th through the 15th. And that's it.
All right. All right, thanks, Steph.
Mhm.
As we roll through the agenda, since it's Animal Week, we have two appointments for Animal Control Advisory Board, three appointments actually, which I think Mike will probably consolidate and handle together. Under new business, we have a donation to ComCare for suicide prevention from a family. Item E is a amendment to an article of Subdivision Regulations, and Scott is here, and I might have you come to the table, Scott, since there's a number of zoning matters. So if you have if any commissioners have questions on item E of Scott, he is here. And then Board of Bids and Appeals, item F. Then under consent, G, H, and I are all right-of-way issues. One is a G is for right-of-way on Webb Road between 79th and 87th. That's a $10,000 cost to the county to obtain the right-of-way. Item H is a project between 295th and 311th Street West on Maple. That's at a cost of over $3,300 to the county. And item I is a right-of-way issue on a bridge replacement on Greenwich between 109th and 117th North at a cost of a little over $4,600 to the county. Any questions on any of those? Item J, and I might just turn it over to Scott here, is a zone change out by Colwich in District 3. You want to briefly cover that, sir?
Sure. So this is one that has gone through our standard process and excuse me. And everyone so far has recommended approval of it. We did not receive any protest petitions on it. So that's why we put it on the consent agenda. Thank you.
Item K is a zone change request. I want to turn it over to Commissioner Dennis. We've had some offline discussions about this. And Commissioner Dennis, do you want to go ahead?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I appreciate it. And I have talked to Scott about this. I've talked to legal about it. And if you read the item in the agenda, right, you won't have any idea what's going on. Okay. So I want to explain the backup materials where you're really going to learn what the details of this are. And this is the zoning case that was processed back in 2007. So there is absolutely no rush on anything we're talking about today because nothing is happening at this time, and I don't foresee anything happening in the near future. So at the end of this, I'm going to ask that we just pull it off the agenda and ask for staff to do a little bit of research and see what kind of changes we may need to make to some of the zoning regulations and policy. And really, the reason I'm concerned about it is because our job as commissioners is to set policy. And I believe that policy was changed in the past, actually in 2016, by the MAPC with no input from the county commission. And again, it's our job to set policy, not MAPC's job to set policy. So this policy, as I said, was made unilaterally by the MAPC. And it impacts a lot of things because it impacts plating. And we talk a lot about zoning, but the commission doesn't get into the weeds too much on plating. But plating is really, really important. We saw that Wednesday with a meeting that we had where I promised a lady, hey, we'll consider this during plating. Well, as it turns out, after getting into the weeds on this, it may never get to that point for the next several years. And by that time, those citizens that were concerned may have moved, or may not remember that we made them a promise and so forth. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But plating also it impacts dedication of right of way. For example, this piece of property is at the corner of 53rd Meridian. I know a few years ago we put stoplights in there. Well, during plating, if we needed some property to do things like that, or put turn lanes in, or do anything like that, we require them to dedicate that property to us so that we don't have to buy it. So I don't know if when we put those stoplights in at 53rd Meridian, if we had to purchase property because it had never been platted. And that affects our bottom line. It comes out of our budget then rather than through dedication. Other things, it looks at utilities, it looks at the transportation, it looks at fire safety, it looks at flooding, and we don't know what the impact of the surrounding properties are on flooding if we don't get it to platting. And remember, this one here happened in 2007, so all of this has been dragging on since 2007. And as I said, also with platting, the surrounding properties are not ever notified of the time that something is going to plat, so that they have no input whatsoever to the platting process. And I think this is wrong. And I've had an issue with this for some time, that the public on one of the most important portions of the zoning process never knows that it's going to go to platting, never gets involved in the process. So I do have a couple recommendations right now. I think we need to pull this from the agenda. As I said, I don't think that it's going to affect this landowner whatsoever at this time, because it was rezoned back in 2007, and there's still, all they're asking today is to defer the platting of the process. So I don't think that this is going to affect that landowner. I think that we need the staff, our planning staff and our legal staff, to go through and take a look at the entire policy and then bring policy to the board for our approval. We set policy, not MAPC. And bring that back to the Board of County Commissioners and the City Council to approve. I believe that we ought to have timely platting. If people don't know what they're going to do with a piece of property, I don't know why they're zoning it. And something happening in 2007 and asking us in 2023 to take an action to defer it, that is not very timely. So I think we need that policy 5 that has been removed back in 2016 reinstated to some extent. Maybe not in the exact same form, but we need to go back and review that policy number 5. And again, I think that as we get into the platting process, especially those that are protesting or have an issue with something that's happening, we need to re-notify them again. We need to let them know now something is happening to this piece of property. You've had an interest in it, and we want to make sure that your interest is still being considered. We report to the citizens, not to the developers. Okay, so my recommendation, as I said, is just pull this, send it back to staff. Let the staff come forward with recommendations. We will set the policy. Okay.
When this change was made, was this is joint policy for both city Wichita and Sedgwick County both?
It's my understanding that yes, it was. For both this, it did apply to both city and county.
Well, this is a new one for me, so I need to study it to catch up with where Commissioner Dennis is. But I have to agree, his comments sound very convincing that he's got a good point. Sounds like to me. But commissioners online, do you have any comments or questions about this item?
No, I'm good.
Yep, I agree. Thank you.
Good. And anything else on item K? From anybody?
No.
Scott, did you have anything you want to say?
Sure. Well, what I would like to do is, having with this feedback in the comments, which were very helpful, because it helps us to ensure that our policies are crafted to meet the goals and the ends that folks want to see in the community. Perhaps what we can do is, since this is affecting a single property, maybe one of the things we could do is schedule some briefings to talk with you all to kind of get a sense of what the consensus is and which direction to move forward. And also it would give an opportunity to review why the policy was in place, why the policy was done away with, and what the impacts have been since that has been done. Because the relationship between plating and zoning is very complicated, and it comes up quite often. So I think that could take some dialogue, but I want to make sure that we're headed in the right direction for what you want to accomplish. At the same time, I also want to make sure that the property owner has some guidance or expectations about when they're going to be able to do what they want to do. And unfortunately, I can't bring the perspective of the property owner today. I'm not sure why this suddenly has come up, given that it's been laying dormant for so long. So I'll try and bring that to that as well. So does that sound like a good next step, is to schedule briefings and have some conversations with y'all?
I agree. We just need to go back and review it and look at it from the policy side, which we're responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
So we pull this off. Are we planning to defer this item for a future date, bring it back when we're ready to?
I think until Scott reports back, I think we keep it deferred till then.
So Commissioner Dennis, you'll probably work up a motion to pull it off, first of all, and a motion to defer it, I assume.
Well, today is just agenda review.
Right.
We decide what goes on the
Right.
agenda. I don't know why we can't just delete it during the agenda review
Okay.
without a motion.
That's even better.
And then we bring it back at a future date. I just think eliminate K, move everything else up on the agenda.
I think that's a good idea.
Can do. To be fair,
I agree.
probably in
I
high
agree.
school, nothing happened the first time around. So I think you had much to do with it, but
The chairman's out of
I agree.
comment.
Yeah, just remove it.
Chairman?
He had said just remove it.
Okay, great. Sounds like he
Yeah,
agrees.
I'm sorry. If you didn't hear me, that's what I said. I said, I agree with what you guys are saying. Just remove it
All right.
and we'll put it back on when we need to. Thank you.
All right.
all right, very good. So K will go away. That moves, item L will move up to be the new K. That is a notification of a ComCare Path Fund grant award to a little over $216,000, and those funds would be used for positions to help with outreach and case management services for homeless people. I don't know if Tim is here, if there's any questions on that further. I think that you approved this already in a meeting, and this is just and I don't know, this is not necessarily a grant award. We still don't have it for sure, do we?
We don't, but we have received that amount, a similar amount for over 20 years. The PATH grant was initiated more than 20 years ago to get community mental health centers to start delivering specialized services to the homeless population. The amount has diminished over time, but ComCare supplements that with additional funds that they generate. So it's a good program.
All right.
That is all we had, and the rest of it is just routine business on agenda. There is no fire agenda. There is no executive session planned at this time.
I have a couple of questions going backwards on this a little bit. So item J, how many housing units are we talking about there? How big of a project is this?
You know, like 55 or 6 of my memory, you want to.
Yeah, the property size is 61 acres, just over 61 acres. They intend to develop 56 of those acres with single family residences and reserve just under 6 acres for commercial uses. I don't believe that we've got the number of units listed in the staff report. What I can do, sir, is I'll follow up to see if we got a plat in on this that shows how many lots it would be.
I would like to review that case. Again, it sounds like it's non-controversial, but I've been surprised by some of the things that has happened recently. So I'd like to at least be more familiar with that, if it's okay.
Yeah, you know.
And then can we go back to item E? Can you please explain what's going on there?
So with item E, this one was a little bit of a surprise for us. So in the subdivision regulations, there are a number of communities that have the ability to regulate subdivision activities outside of their municipal boundaries. And this is set forth in the subdivision regs. So in this case, the city of Derby had changed, has decided that they do not want to have some of the territory that had previously been in their extraterritorial subdivision authority area. They are reducing the size of that. And so they took that action last year. We were notified of that this year. And so this has been presented to the MAPC to see about updating the subdivision regulations to reflect the change that Derby has made. And so that's the action.
Is there a geographic map of what's been, I mean,
There is, and I'm kind of surprised that it's not included. So let me get that for you. The other thing that we've done is we're reaching out to Derby to get more background information on why this particular action was taking place. So I've got some speculation, but we'll wait until we get a full and complete answer.
okay. Are they planning, do you know if are they planning to be here? Is this, do they have an interest in this issue at the BOCC level? Are they going to be here?
We're going to invite them to. We have not heard confirmation that they will.
Okay.
We're going to reach out and check in with them.
Let me go back to Jay. Commissioner, I have a question on that. This is a new resolution because of an error in the previous one, isn't it? I recall that we've already passed this thing once and something was an error.
Yeah, so the zone change requests include multiple zoning classifications, and planning staff did not account for the multiple zoning districts in the original resolution. That is correct, sir.
Yeah.
So it's at the
We
end of
were
the back.
this several months ago. And this is just to correct some of the things that we heard. And that because there was some kind of error in what the description was, I recall.
Okay.
So I don't know. if
I may
that
have-
answers your question.
I may have less questions there. I just want to make sure we're not, again, it sounds like a pretty big project. They don't want to put that on consent without knowing what's going on. So,
Sure.
all right.
But we heard it as a regular
Sounds
case.
good. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Manager, anything else?
That's all we have, sir.
Anybody else in the room or around the table? How about commissioners online? Anything you want to raise today before we dismiss?
Nothing
Nope.
on my end. Thank you.
Yep, nothing here. So thanks for running it. Thanks for allowing me to be absent today. Thank you.
Everyone have a safe and wonderful weekend. It sounds like the weather's going to be fun. So enjoy your weekend and see you next week.
Hey, okay.